Welcome back, friends. In the last video, I introduced to you guys our Family Summit and I explained why this is the very first year that we are doing it like this. And today I want to take you on a deeper look, not just into the 12 pillars themselves, but also into the summit day and what it is actually going to look like in real time. So thanks so much for joining us. I hope this is encouraging to you. When we started planning this, Darren and I realized something very important. If we were going to involve all of the kids, and we have 7 right now, from our toddler up to our preteen, we needed a clear flow for the day. Something very predictable, and something peaceful and something that allowed everyone to participate without feeling overwhelmed. So in this video, I want to share how each pillar works, what the worksheets, like I talked about last time, look like, what conversations sound like, and how we are really structuring the day and the order we are going to follow. My hope is that it gives you a big picture, not just what a family summit is, but what it feels like to actually do one together. So let's jump in. Okay, so what the summit day will look like. Before we walk into each pillar, and again, we have 12 of them, there's a general flow to the summit day. This is the cadence that we plan to follow. First, we're going to start the day joyfully and slowly. We're going to have a special breakfast, something warm and comforting, so that the day feels a little set apart, and the tone really matters. Remember that our plan is to do this day in between Christmas and New Year's. And this is going to be important because our regular homeschool is going to be lightened. We're going to have a little bit more family time, maybe refocusing on resetting the house. And so there's a couple other elements that go into this week as well. We want to gather everyone together in the living room when it is time for our family summit with Bibles and with worksheets. In our previous video, we talked about some people go out of town for this. We are staying in town and we are doing it a little bit each day in the evening. But we do want the whole week to feel very refreshing and refocused. So we're going to always open with scripture and prayer and an explanation of what we're going to be accomplishing so that the kids know exactly what to expect. We're going to work through the pillars in clusters, not all 12 at once. So we're going to be grouping the pillars into blocks of 2 to 4, depending on how much time we have set aside, allocated in the evening. This is going to take up our family Bible time, so it's going to go for an extended period of time. We probably will dedicate like 3 to 4 days to this and do it in half an hour to hour chunks. As I mentioned, some people commit a whole day to it. They take it off work. They do it over the weekend. You can choose what best fits you. So, but here's some ideas how you could block it together. If you remember some of the pillars from before, block 1 could be like spiritual life, marriage, and parenting. Remember, the marriage is a private session. Darren and I plan to go on a special date, just the 2 of us to talk about it, but we are going to kind of present to the kids about some of our findings from what they observed in our marriage and what we are excited about to include in the year to come. And then you want to make sure also, if you are doing things in blocks, that you have plenty of snacks, movements, and toddler play, right? Block 2 example could be like character, home system, education, and that would be great pairing together. Another block could be chores, health, and finances. And lastly, another block could be traditions, hospitality, and then the final vision and goals. We want to make sure that we are using those worksheets that I created to help guide the conversation, and that the worksheets are done both kids and parents prior to that block or prior to the time where we're going to be talking about the different pillars. I think this is going to get our minds engaged. We're going to be able to reevaluate by looking at some of the worksheets where we want the direction of the conversation to go. So really use it to guide those conversations, since each child has a simple worksheet packet. And then Darren and I have a more detailed one. This gives everyone a place to write or draw and express their thoughts. And then we want to make sure that we're going to end our summit, whether if you're doing it all in one day or in chunks like we are, with something simple but celebratory, right? Like a celebration, something fun, a special dinner, maybe a family movie night or dessert, just to really mark the end of our very first summit. I think will be really fun. So this order helps the younger kids stay engaged. It keeps the energy really positive and allows us to approach each pillar with rest and with patience. So let's walk through each pillar the way that we're planning to walk through it with our kids. Pillar number 1 is that spiritual life and family worship. We begin the summit with scripture, with prayer, and with reflection. Everyone shares something that they're grateful for spiritually. We are gonna ask maybe a hymn that they have learned this year that they have liked, whether on their violin or on their piano or during our school time, or a way that God has helped them this year. And then we gently talk to them about rhythms that haven't been working well, or how we can grow in better spirituality within our family. So our worksheets ask each child to circle. Remember, the children's worksheets are a little simplified. So just circle a spiritual practice that they want to try to strengthen this year, or maybe something that they're excited about implementing this year. It's simple, but it really is, it opens the door for more meaningful conversation, especially during our family summit time. Starting with this pillar gives the entire summit like a grounded, peaceful tone, I pray. Second pillar is that marriage, connection, and unity. And after the spiritual pillar, the kids, again, will not participate necessarily in this one. Darren and I will set aside time for a marriage check-in, but this doesn't take long. It's just enough to like talk, realign, make sure our communication is on point, and discuss what helps us feel connected. We'll write out a few thoughts on our own personal worksheets. We'll pray together, and then we'll return to with a united front for the kids. Pillar 3, parenting and discipleship vision. This conversation flows naturally after spirituality and then family marriage. This one just is like the natural third pillar. Darren and I share with the kids what we want to grow in as parents this year. Maybe it could be like patience or clarity, consistency, gentleness. We have a lot of ideas, right? And then the kids get to see that their parents too are okay. So pillar 4 is the child's character development. So we have the parenting, now we have the children here, and each child gets a moment of loving attention. They're going to fill out their sheet and about their strengths, something they're proud of, and an area that they'd like to grow in, right? Let's have some personal motivation and conviction for that for each child. And then we'll add our observations, maybe specific encouraging observation, or helping them refine maybe something they want to grow in, and make sure that's really encouraging and hope-filled. And then this pillar may take a little time depending on how many kids you have. I have 7, so we want to keep that pace really gentle, but really like focus that each one gets the attention that they need. Pillar 5 is home management and household systems. Now that everyone is comfortable, we've heard from everyone, right? This pillar, we're praying, provides honest feedback. The kids will share what parts of the day they feel maybe rushed or hectic, or what feels really peaceful, or what they enjoy. And this is where little truths come out, like shoes never being where they should be, or mornings feeling too rushed. And we're going to take notes together, and then we're also going to brainstorm simple changes. We're really going to be honest, like, is that change a personal thing that needs to be worked on? Is it a family system that we need to change? So I think it's going to be a really good discussion. Pillar 6 is education and homeschooling and school planning. Because we homeschool, this is going to be really important because the chunk of our day gets reserved for schooling purposes. So because the kids have shared about their character, we've talked about routines, the conversation, again, just naturally shifts to school. Each child shares what subject they enjoy, maybe where they're struggling. We also talk about interests like cooking or music or farm skills, right? And this is going to be really helpful for us to navigate where we go with school, how we adjust our school schedule, things that we can give more independent study with. So I'm really excited to hear back from the kids. Also in January, or like right before January, prior to when usually I do my school planning in March. It's going to give me a lot of time to like pray about, to implement, to make some action steps, to research. So I think the timing is going to work out great. Pillar 7 is work, responsibilities, and chores. So in this pillar, we again begin with chores, which I know that like the word chores hasn't always been my favorite. I kind of like responsibilities to replace chores, but since it's a very well-known word, you can go with me on this. But we take part in a family team. So there's responsibilities to be had from everyone in all elements of our family. So because everyone has ideas and they can see things differently, we really want to hear too the thoughts, not only just from the parents and what we're observing, but what they're experiencing. So this pillar helps us to like reassign responsibilities based on growth in the kids. The kids get to share what chores they really feel ready for, or maybe they feel overwhelmed in. And then we get to create new manageable plans together. So I'm very excited about pillar 7 and hearing from the kids. And pillar 8 is one thing that Darren and I really want to look at with the kids this year and with our whole family for accountability purposes. And that's health, wellness, and rhythms. Pillar 8. So this pillar often brings out like sweet insight. The kids reflect on what helps them feel healthy and happy. Maybe that could be more outdoor time or an honest reflection about bedtimes, less rushing in the mornings. It could be maybe they feel crazy when they eat sugar. Like this is a good time to like chat about that. We want to look at emotional and physical well-being together. We also want to come up with action steps for the whole family to increase in our health and wellness, and providing teaching time for the overall wellness, but also like experimenting and finding ways that really create a family of health and wellness. Pillar 9, I'm a little intimidated about, but I think it's going to be really good for our family, and that's finances, budgeting, and stewardship. So even though our intent is to keep this conversation simple and like value-based, making sure that there are some like facts and numbers, but it's not all about the numbers. It's actually about the wisdom and gratitude and generosity. We have some big family goals. We moved out of state like 2 years ago and built a house. And so we have some like really financial budgeting things that we need to focus on as a family. And Darren and I think that as we communicate that with the kids in an age appropriate way, right, that they're going to be able to take some ownership with us as we together accomplish goals. And so we're going to talk about how we can do that as a family, how we can steward what God gives us, and how we can take responsibility for finding ways to be better stewards. And I think it's just going to be good. It's going to be a little intimidating because, as we all make mistakes, Darren and I have some debt we want to get rid of. We're going to confess that. We're going to show our kids what happens when we get outside of our budget. And I think it's going to be a really good lesson for them as they move into the future too. But a little bit of vulnerability in that pillar. All right, pillar 10 is going to be a fun one though. It's a good follow-up. It's family culture, traditions, and celebration. So this is one of the most joyful parts, I think, of the summit for me, and I hope that comes out with everyone else. We're going to talk about traditions that mean something to each individual person. So Maybe it's a Sabbath rhythms. Maybe it's Christmas rhythms. You know, we just had Christmas. It could be birthdays. It could be just little rituals or activities that we do in our family that are meaningful and support the bonding of our family. So we're going to ask our kids also if there's any new traditions that they would love to start this year. So it's going to be a fun pillar. All right, pillar 11 is community, hospitality, and service. Now we're going to really shift outward. We just looked inward at our own family. We're going to shift outward. We're going to talk about the people that we want to bless this year. Maybe it's neighbors, church friends, community members, and how we can open our home in simple, joyful ways. And the kids always surprise us with their thoughtful ideas. And so I also think this will be a fun one. And then the last pillar is pillar 12, and it's very, very important. It's vision, goals, and action steps. So all along the way, at the end of each pillar and the end of each conversation, we do write down some action steps, but this is going to be the final pillar that pulls everything together. So we'll look back at the notes that we've taken in each section, the ideas that we've came up with throughout the day, and the things that God seems to be highlighting. He's always so good at that. And then we will choose a handful and meaningful amount, also doable, of goals for the year. Family goals, personal goals, and then we're going to pray over them. We're going to pray as a family. We're going to thank the Lord for giving us the ability to gather together as a family summit, and then we're going to close the summit with a sense of unity and excitement. And then we get to celebrate. So we're going to end our summit with something, again, very meaningful, celebratory, something really memory making. That has yet to be decided, but it will happen. Oh man, guys, thank you so much for joining us for this deeper dive into our family summit. In the next video, I hope to show you some of our personal worksheets that we've created and take you through our summit setup and even maybe share some special pieces of our very first summit day so you can see exactly how it goes. If you want to follow along as we share the results of what worked, what surprised us, what the kids said, and what we'll adjust and do next year, make sure to subscribe, click the notification bell, and follow along. So this is our first year doing it, and we are excited to bring you guys along on this journey, and we'll see you in the next video.